Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable, high performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore. Hi there. I want you to kind of picture this, imagine this as a little bit of fun. Let's do this together. Just imagine that you're in a massive stadium. There's 80,000 people around you. It's dark. There's a low level of noise. It's warm. And somewhere in front of you can see a stage and the actor about to go on stage. And the music starts to gradually build up. And as the band plays the first notes on their instruments, all around the stadium, all around you, 80,000 lights light up. And if you could just imagine, maybe you've seen that at the Coldplay Spheres tour. I think it's called this. I can't exact Music of the Spheres tour. I was lucky enough to be there in Dublin this week in Croke Park, Dublin, capital of Ireland, to experience their show, which is kind of maybe the inspiration for something that I've been considering recently. So I'm bringing the two of them together. I'm talking about modern day alchemy. And alchemy is, I suppose, a word that's associated, perhaps in my mind anyway, with kind of the legend of King Arthur at that time and Merlin. Alchemy was seen as this magical ability to turn base metal into gold, or base metal into something very valuable. And what I saw myself with Coldplay during the week, it was so inspirational to me for multiple reasons, apart from the fact it was a great concert and so clever. But there was an act of creation about it. There was a magic, there was an alchemy where they have almost, somebody envisaged something that perhaps would have seemed impossible to most. And they have elevated what it means to be at a show like that. I just can't describe to you. If you've been at it, you know what I mean. You almost have to experience it. What I'm talking about with those lights is that they conceived of an idea, and there's a little bit of a backstory to this, because one of their fans really conceived an idea years ago when they were listening to their hit song at a concert in Glastonbury called Fix You, which has got lights will find you home. It's all about lights. And the fan was in the audience thinking, wouldn't it be great if everybody here had a light and we could all, it would bring us closer together, because the song itself is that kind of a song. So he conceived this idea and pursued it and created these wristbands that light up, and then took it further and then took it to Coldplay and said, I think you should use these. And they tried it, they loved it. And that's where that technology started, not used by other bands around the world. But it started with a fan from Coldplay and at Croke Park in Dublin in the darkness. It was just incredible to watch the music and the coordination with the lights. And what they did, which was completely modern day alchemy from my point of view, is that they managed to create something that I've never seen before, never experienced before, where the audience who were there to watch the show became part of the show. Now, what's that got to do with you? Well, I think a lot, because what I was witnessing there was modern day magic, modern day alchemy, where you're taking lots of different things, technology, people, stage, music, instruments, you put them all together, and the sum becomes greater than all the individual parts, and it creates magic in the stadium for you to experience. And the reality is that from my point of view, and you may not realize this, but you're an alchemist. You have the ability to create magic in all aspects of your life. And I think what occurred to me, and I'm somebody who obviously works in this area all the time, I came out of that stadium, apart from having enjoyed it, what struck me was, wow, my potential, your potential is so much more than whatever your mind is saying to you. There's more. So whatever level your life is at, whatever level your business is at, whatever level your career, your relationship, your health, I'm going to say here today to challenge you and me to say, let's think bigger. Let's think more about the potential for real modern magic. Now, if you get into science, what science will say is that within our brain, there's a left brain and there's a right brain. The left brain is associated with logic, and it's very much on the analytical side. It's the part that's very good at linguistics and accountants and mathematics and science and everything else. Really important part. And the reality is that the business world and the scientific world have kind of been pretty much built on that, on logic. And it's very important because that's what really holds buildings together, what makes money flow, etc. But the other part of the brain is just as important as the right brain. And that part is the area for vision, for intuition, for creativity, for lateral thinking, for empathy, emotional intelligence, your awareness. Now, all of that is stuff in a business context, certainly, where they're some of the most valuable things right now. And for alchemy to work in a person, from my experience, what I see, and this is where what they call whole brain thinking, that you need to get the right brain working with the left brain, get them working together. So you can create a vision for a show like, for example, Coldplay's show in your mind, and the left brain might go, oh, that's just not practical. It's going to cost too much. There's too much hassle. How's that going to work in reality? Especially if you're the first person, say, with those lights. And maybe it's going to cost too much to create these light wristbands, maybe collect them afterwards. Will people return them? Maybe not. It's all a bit of a hassle. But the right brain working with the left brain together, they can figure it out and turn something that might seem impossible into reality. It was a very, very good book written, I don't know, it's over 10 years ago now, by an author called Dan Pink, great author, American guy. I think it's called A Whole New Brain, where he talks about the power and the necessity for integrating the right brain into modern day life and modern day business. And again, he just emphasizes the point about artistry, empathy, big picture thinking, inventiveness. Those skills are so important in today's world. You know, that the old left brain skills are pretty much falling to the wayside, are not as valuable, especially with the advent of AI. So if you're somebody who's thinking about, if you're young listening to this, please explore whole brain thinking, right brain thinking, because you'll have an advantage. Those skills are what the future are going to be built on. Now, part of my job in what I do in my work is, I guess, to open people's minds up to what's possible. You know, as a client said to me recently, and this is a very smart man who went on to sell his business. He said, you know, you did lots for me and I appreciate it, but the thing you did most for me was you gave me permission to dream big and to go after that. And then it happened. And that's from my point of view, that is magic for me to hear that back, obviously. But the dreams could be anything. For him, it was selling a business. For others, it could be a best-selling book or a movie, winning an award in something, becoming a better leader, becoming a better father, making a more sustainable business, or business that you can step out of more often, where you've got more freedom. Maybe though it's to do with improving your relationship. Maybe that seems like it's not possible. Or getting to a certain level of health and fitness, the right weight. Maybe it's about your energy. Maybe it's about having a better mood. Or maybe it's just about being able to enjoy life more and having a sense of aliveness, fulfillment, purpose. Your mind, if you're not careful, can tell you that it's just not possible. But that's the left brain, in my experience. If you get the left brain working with the right brain, well, the right brain is maybe the more loose, silly one who's saying, oh, well, what about this and what about that? No, the left brain is very important because it will inevitably bring in reality and try to match where your dreams and integrate them into reality. But the two of them working together can create real magic. And I suppose the question I have for you is, how open are you to practical magic? Not silly stuff, not just sitting down imagining something and think it's just going to happen. But beyond that, it's almost as if the right brain is almost, the dreamer, and the left brain person or left brain part of you is roll up the sleeves. Okay, let's get stuck in. Now, one objection might be, well, I'm just too right brain, or maybe I'm too left brain. And sometimes that happens. And that's sometimes why teams can work together really well if they understand the skill, the mental skill that each is bringing. So you could, if you're left brain or right brain, you could find the opposite in a friend or a colleague or a loved one. Or maybe you can bring that in more into your team. If you have accountants running a business, it's highly likely that, in my experience, that business eventually will decline, because the entrepreneurial side, the part that actually takes risks, has vision, that's the right brain. So in a business, you have them working together. But if one gets too much, in terms of even if the right brain is too free with no left brain to control it, well, then also it can run you into trouble. So it is a balance of both. That's how modern day alchemy works. So what about you? You are an alchemist. What would you love to create in all aspects of your life? And I think that's a great question to consider. Such an important question to give yourself permission to honestly consider and say, hang on, for the next phase of my life, what would I absolutely love to create? What would be magic for me to create? And could you conceive of something that's initially maybe impossible or seems that way to you? But then start to put it into your right brain by imagining it, giving yourself permission to consider it, to look at it. And over time, then allow your left brain to come in and also then play around with, well, how do we make this happen? What are steps to take? What's one step to start with today? And maybe sometimes that's often the best way to go. What's one step to take today towards this seemingly impossible goal? I've seen this too many times happen with clients and with my own life. It doesn't mean anything's perfect. It doesn't mean that you don't have problems. It doesn't mean that you don't fail. I have loads of failures myself, but sometimes they're the ones that teach you the most. And I've no doubt if I dig more into the story of those Coldplay lights, I'm sure they would have had failures along the way trying to make them work. But by God, did they create something that was unforgettable. And from my point of view, as somebody who has seen different bands around the world play, U2 being one, I always thought they were the best. But there's a different level now, a new standard of entertainment created by these guys, because somebody somewhere in that team allowed the alchemist to come in and say, hey, what about going or trying to create something like this? And being the first, I just think that's amazing. But to see the execution of it in reality, it just blew my mind. And whether or not you were there, it doesn't really matter. I think what I'm sharing today hopefully will be a little bit of an inspiration and a challenge to the alchemist inside you. Because trust me when I say that you have the magic of alchemy inside you. It's in you, it's in me, it's in all of us. I think the question I'm putting out today, not just to you, but to me too, is will you activate it more? That's it for this week. Ciao for now.